Good morning and welcome to the February 24th, 2022 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the agenda today, there are speaker request forms to the left of the dais. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the secretary. At this time, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disrupted. The public hearing on item number 1, the approval of the January 27th, 2022 ZBA minutes, is hereby opened. All right, Karen made the motion to approve those minutes, and Vince seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 2 is a variance to reduce the lot size from 8,000 square feet to 5,662 square feet. You might notice on the agenda that it's actually titled lot coverage. Kinsley in the attorney's office has confirmed that that does require that we republish. The applicant is in favor of that. It turned out they had to be out of town today anyway. So we'll bring that back to you in 2 weeks with the correct title and notification. We would recommend that you continue this request to your March 10th Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting.
All right, Haven made the motion to continue this item until March 12th, and Mike Kwasny seconded that motion.
March 10th,
10th?
please.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. March 10th is when you made the motion for, right? And Mike? Okay. They were paying attention, not me. So the motion on the floor is to continue to March 10th. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? The motion carries. That's our final item on Zoning Board of Adjustment. I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Rachel made the motion to adjourn. And Vince seconded that motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All right, we're adjourned. We will now commence the Rapid City Planning Commission meeting for February 24th, 2022. Again, if any member of the audience wishes to speak to any item on the Planning Commission agenda, please fill out a speaker request form, which you can find over on the table along the left wall, and hand it to the staff over there. Please continue to keep your cell phones or other electronic devices off or in silent mode. And if you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disrupted. Items 1 through 3 have been placed on the consent calendar today and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the City Council. The City Council will make the final decision. Are there any items 1 through 3 that staff would like removed?
No, thank you.
Are there any items 1 through 3 that any planning commissioner would like removed for separate consideration? And are there any items 1 through 3 that any audience member would like removed for separate consideration? The chair would then entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar, items 1 through 3, in accordance with staff's recommendation. Rachel made the motion to approve items 1 through 3, and Karen seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4.
Good morning. Item number 4 is 22UR003, which is a conditional use permit to allow an on-sale liquor establishment in conjunction with a tasting bar. This is for the Vita Sana Olive Oil Company, located at 627 St. Joseph Street, and I will take you through some slides. Property is zoned Central Business District. Future land use is also downtown. And the property is located between 6th and 7th Street on St. Joseph Street, which is classified as a principal arterial street on the major street plan. This is the proposed layout of the Vitasana Olive Oil Company, showing their interior setup and their display racks and how merchandise will be displayed. This is pictures of their current location. I will note that Vitasana Olive Oil Company is currently operating directly across the street at 627 St. Joseph Street, and they are moving across the street to 628 St. Joseph Street. They have lost their lease in their current building and are moving across the street. They are taking the existing sign and moving that across the street, so there will be no change in signage, and their operations plan is identical to what they are currently operating as now. This is 628 St. Joseph Street, their new location, and you can see the conditional use sign posted in the window. This is St. Joseph Street looking to the east. This is looking across the street from their proposed location to their current location. And this is looking west along St. Joseph Street. Again, they are not changing anything in their operation. They are simply moving across the street. Their current operation, they sell specialty olive oils, balsamic vinegars, gourmet foodstuffs, and wine. They have an off-sale wine permit. They're doing their on-sale so they can hold wine tastings for special events and also cooking classes and things like that that they hold in their establishment. So no change in operation, just moving across the street. The applicant is here if you have any questions, and I'm also available.
Thanks, Kip. Any questions for him?
Mr. Chair, staff is recommending that this be approved with the stipulations identified in the report.
Thank you, Vicki.
Comments on this item? Questions from the commission? All right. Mike Quasney made the motion to approve item number 4 with the stipulations as listed, and Rachel seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5.
Item number 5 is 22UR004, which is a major amendment to a conditional use permit to allow an LED message sign. This is located at 840 Timmons Boulevard. You can see the aerial photograph here. It was bare ground. The property is currently under construction, which you will see in our site photos. Property is zoned general commercial. Future land use is mixed use commercial. Timmons Boulevard is a commercial street. It is located near the intersection of Elkville Road and Homestead Street. This is the proposed site plan of the property. You can see there are multiple suites in the proposed strip mall. You have seen this before for various applications, including some medical cannabis, which they are still waiting on the drawing for, and they also have a couple approved casino licenses in this building. This is a drawing of where the signage will go. So they will have a 4x8 LED sign above the casino storefront facing Timmons Boulevard, and also a static non-LED sign on the south end of the building. And that is 50 square feet, and the proposed LED sign will be 32 square feet. See pictures of the strip mall under construction. The proposed suite with the LED sign would be located approximately right here. Another picture of the ongoing construction. This is looking across Timmons Boulevard. This is a convenience store, grocery store, and gas station known as Timmons Market. So this is located in a commercial area. Looking to the south along Timmons Boulevard, you can see there's a bank nearby, Black Hills Federal Credit Union. And then looking to the north along Timmons Boulevard, some more commercial activity and establishments, including a car wash and some apartments farther off to the north. So this is coming before you as it's a conditional use for an LED sign. The LED sign proposed is 32 square feet. According to our building official, they have a total eligibility of 60 square feet of LED signage, so they're not using their maximum amount of LED signage that is allowed. They will use 32 square feet, and then it will leave 28 feet of LED signage for another business if they request that. However, we have no idea what's going in there yet at this time. One thing to note that this does not face any residential structures. It faces the convenience store across the street, and it is not a pole sign located adjacent to the public right-of-way. This will be located on the building facade itself. And with that, staff recommends approval with the stipulations as outlined in the staff report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thanks, Kip. Mike Kwasny?
So Kip, as I understand it, you stated that if they got more LED signage, they would have to more than 28?
They are allowed up to 28 additional feet of LED signage per the sign code, so that is all that would be allowed for any additional LED signage on the property.
They'd have to come to us if they wanted
Absolutely, it would be
more.
another major amendment to the conditional use permit.
Okay.
Karen?
I guess my question is, what's the purpose of having that? Is it a message board that they can change, or is it just the sign itself, what it is?
I am assuming that it would be a changeable message on that sign. That's the reason usually people do LED, is to allow them to change the message.
Okay. I guess for me, I'm trying to figure out why a casino would need to have an LED sign that would change what's changing in that business. Everybody knows what it is, and a big sign, I mean, to me, it just seems over the top.
We have seen some other ones in the community that they advertise the different types of games and the number of machines that they have, just to get some more information about their business out there.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Vicky?
So this is a permitted use in general commercial, and when we get to our discussion items, we're going to be talking about this topic. Any property in Rapid City that's zoned general commercial could come in right now and get a sign permit. It's permitted. It is not a conditional use to have LED signage in Rapid City in general commercial. It's only being brought before you because it's associated with the use, which is the on-sale liquor in conjunction with the casino, that did come before you, and you requested that anytime we review a conditional use or a planned development, that we add a stipulation that any LED signage require a major amendment. We're getting challenged on that, and we're probably not going to win that one. We can't deny it. It's allowed. What we can look at is what's the operation of the sign, what's the brightness of the sign. The messaging will be controlled through our sign code. It can't advertise anything but on-premise activity, hours of operation, special events, those types of things. But we'll discuss again here in just a moment.
Thanks, Vicky. Karen?
I just have one follow-up question. The 28 extra signage that they could put on that building, is it because the whole building is under this conditional use permit, or is it part of it, like if they just wanted to put a, I don't know, beauty shop in there, would that require? Oops, sorry.
Mr. Chair, so the sign code says that on a legally described property, you can have a maximum of 60 square feet of LED signage. You can break that out into a few signs or just one sign. If they were to come in for a use that's otherwise permitted in general commercial, and they wanted to put a 28 square foot LED sign, it would not come before you. We could not require that they hold a public meeting for a use that's permitted.
Haven?
I note that the sign faces west, which would be toward Elkvale and the grocery store across the street, which is good. It doesn't face then the residential. What restrictions are there? I'm really aiming at, I guess, light pollution. What restrictions are there for light pollution, or which would be could be caused by signs like this?
That is a great question. So in our sign code, it's laborious to read and understand and enforce, but all signage is limited to illumination. Because this is an LED signage, our ordinance also addresses that it must have an auto dimmer on it. As the skies darken, the sign must dim. We do get complaints sometimes that there's a sign that is brighter than it should be. We have the equipment to go out and test that. We usually have to wait until it's pitch dark and after hours and go out and test it, but we do. And in almost every instance, it shows that the sign is in compliance, but there isn't competing lighting. You may recall when the fairgrounds first put their LED sign up. There were a lot of complaints that that sign was just too bright. That same size sign and illumination was on Mount Rushmore Road. We didn't receive any complaints, but there's so much competing lightage on Mount Rushmore Road, you didn't notice it. Because that is across the street fairly undeveloped, that sky is so dark that it shined bright. In this instance, they will be required to have that dimmer on this signage as well. And on cloudy days, and of course when the sun sets, then that illumination has to be reduced accordingly. That's a great question, thank you.
I'm just going to pile on with a question here. On the signage package, if I'm understanding this right, this is the only sign they're proposing above the door, so to speak? Because they show a static sign on the end, but only this sign over
That
the
is
door.
correct. This will be their only identification sign on the front of their suite to identify that it's a casino. It will be LED, and then on the side, facing to the south, I believe it is, they have a static sign also advertising the casino.
All right. Well, I hope that works. I usually see a pair of signs when you see an LED sign, so having just one sounds great to me. All right. Any other questions for staff, comments? All right. Mike Gallagher made the motion to approve item 5 with the stipulation. And Kelly seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, that takes us to discussion items.
Couple things. So our agenda for your next meeting, we're only going to have 2 items for you. We did get additional submittals, but after our development review team meeting yesterday, there are several of those that aren't ready to come forward. So that's probably going to be the shortest agenda that you've seen in a long time. We will see about doing a training at the end of that meeting. We may reach out to Kinsley and see if the ex parte communication would be a good opportunity to do a handout and kind of walk everyone through that again. A reminder for some of you, the first time training for others. That's exciting. It's good that we can take advantage of a short agenda and provide other services to you. The second item that I wanted to talk about is signage. We will be reviewing internally. We do get complaints when we're requiring a property owner to go through a process that is not required by the zoning ordinance. And in specific, that is, whenever a property is within a conditional use permit or a planned development, at the direction of this planning commission, we add a stipulation that says any LED signage shall require a major amendment. That's a use that's permitted. It's not conditional. It's a use that's allowed to everyone else that isn't within a planned development and a conditional use permit. And the pushback is that it delays projects. Time is money. It's unfair. You've never said no to one. And it's a step that is causing conflict. So we'll be talking internally to see whether or not that's something that we can continue doing. But I wanted to bring it to your attention so that you folks start thinking about it too. This is probably the only instance, it's very unique, where we're requiring a public hearing on a use that is otherwise permitted for every other property owner with that same zoning designation. So just, again, maybe next time we can have some additional information on that. But I wanted to let you know that the complaints are coming in, and it's difficult for us to defend that when it is by right a permitted use. And again, the ordinance does strictly mandate the location, the size, and the operation. And to your credit, you've looked at it and you've never denied one. Gratefully, thank you for that. We would probably be in a legal challenge if that happened. But it does seem to be an unnecessary burden on the property owners. But we'll bring more information back to you at your next meeting.
Thanks, Vicki. Eric Hikas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just throwing this out there, the lead manual on new construction, which is a very helpful resource. This is associated with the signage and lighting requirement, but it's not really par for this course, I guess. I'm going to dive into the weeds a little bit, but that's a very helpful resource. And the criteria to meet for LEED, for lighting, for site lighting, is really simple. No lighting can project above 90 degrees from the vertical to the horizontal. And then no light can trespass from your property onto an adjoining property in excess of like a quarter-foot candle. So those are actually two really good thresholds for design of site lighting. If you can accomplish those two, you'll meet dark skies, and you won't have a bunch of angry neighbors who have, light shining into their property. So that's always one that I like to utilize when we're doing site lighting. So,
Vicki?
And we appreciate that. And Eric, as someone who does help property owners within our city layout development, it's obvious that you do know that rule. There is also a requirement that if you are doing lighting on your property, it cannot shine out into the adjacent right-of-way. And the only exception, of course, is that signage that's meant to illuminate sidewalks that are, of course, always in the right-of-way. But we do have a group of consultants here in town that are aware of these design features, and it's rare that we have one that comes in where they are shining upward or they are creating noise, light pollution onto an adjacent property. So there's been some good compliance in the city.
Mike Klosny?
No, Vicki, part of the reason that I think we asked was because of the neighbors. We were concerned that lights don't go into a neighborhood from the signage, that it affects them. And I think that's part of the reason that we really kind of asked for that, wasn't it?
One of our very first LED signs was at Rushmore Crossing. And at that time, the state was very concerned with an LED signage right there at the exit onto La Crosse Street because of the amount of traffic. And so because that was in a planned development and signage was being proposed, we actually recommended to deny that one, which we did through the original plan development. But that's what kind of gave birth to the idea that maybe that Planning Commission needed to look at all LED signage, or so was the opinion of a couple of the members, that they didn't support LED signage. This is something that they were struggling with and that they wanted to see it. And so staff was directed to require that all LED signage be brought forward if it were located within a planned development or a conditional use permit. And the issue isn't, if it's proposed originally, of course you're going to see it. You're going to see static signs as a part of the original conditional use permit or planned development. But you'll always see a stipulation of what you're approving that says any use that's permitted shall be allowed with just a building permit or a sign permit going forward. You don't require everything be brought back before you. Those are rights that fall to the property owner to assume that they can develop their property similarly to anyone else. You're really looking at that conditional use. LED signage is not a conditional use. It's a permitted use. It's limited to zoning and where it can be located. But we've parlayed that into, on some properties, creating an extra step. So again, I appreciate that you guys will be thinking about it, and we'll bring back some more information at your next meeting.
Well, and then there was some with maybe a sign company in town that like to stretch the opportunities that they had. And so it was also a way to keep an eye on them, so to speak. And I think that sometimes is a necessary step with certain individuals. So I appreciate anything we can do.
Good memories of the sign wars. John, you got a question?
So technically, we can't enforce, we can't deny it, because it's allowed by ordinance and statute, right? So why don't we address changing the ordinance instead of doing this?
Well, let's talk about it at our next meeting where we can go through the legality of what all that might mean. How about that, John?
Fine, all right.
I mean, but thank you for sharing that thought. It'll prepare us for what we need to, information we need to have for our next meeting.
All right, Vicki, one last question for you. There was a reference to the dispensary lottery. Do we know when that's coming? When we might know where these will be located in our city?
I don't know a specific date. Kinsley, have you heard anything out of your office as to when they're going to pull the lottery? Kep, maybe you've got some information.
I think it should happen within the next month. Pretty sure it should be done within the next month.
Yeah, the latest we've heard is sometime in March, but we don't have an exact date yet.
Yeah, just new land use that we'll have to, or building use that we'll have to consider in applications.
It seems to be a moving target, but everyone who's vested, I think of all the work of the applicants that came before you and all the reviews that you folks did, and you did an absolutely fantastic job in vetting each and every location, and I can't imagine what they're going through. We thought it would be the first part of January and then February and now some date in March, and it's got to be exasperating.
Any other discussion items, staff items, planning commissioner items for today? If not, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. All right, Rachel made the motion to adjourn, and Mike Gallagher seconded that motion. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.